Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Traders Mind Chat live show. Today, we have some live trading. Yes, we'll be live trading stocks. I'll be sharing my open trades, going through the focus list stocks that I have on my radar, and other stocks that are in the neighborhood. Those are the types of stocks that are almost there, but not quite yet. We'll go through all those, but as always, if you guys wouldn't mind taking a moment to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button wherever you were watching, that helps the channel out a lot. And drop a comment. Let me know where you're watching from. We'll be taking questions throughout the entire live stream. This time is meant for you guys. So as you have questions, please fire away and I'll do my best to answer every single question that you have. So, all that said, let's dive into some of the charts. So, share my screen. And here we go. Actually, why don't we do it like this here? So that way you can see a little bit better. All right. So open trades, entries, targets, stops, and management. I'm going to share all of it with you. So this is the one trade that I have open right now, Bros, ticker BROS. Thus the name Bros. Um, and I started this position. I'll throw my annotations on real quick and pop open this chart here, monthly time for a daily time frame, I should say. And I got in right down here. All right, so a lot of annotations on this chart. I always like to mark up my charts a lot. And if this is the first time that you're seeing me or hearing me, first off, thank you for being here. Secondly, I always like to start my analysis, and even when I'm going into managed trades, with everything turned off. Like so, it's just the moving averages, price and volume, and a couple of other things. Like so, this is a stochastic. This is a PDR percent daily range. Well, we could get into all that if you guys want. Just type into the chat. Let me know if you have questions. But I always like to start with the chart basic like this, and the reason why is because it helps to eliminate bias. Like I might have been trading now for 23 years, but I'm just as subject to bias as everybody else. So it helps me to take the annotations off and look at a chart clean. So that way I'm not getting sucked into like, oh, I got in here and this is about how much profit I have. Oh my God, here's a tick against me. How much am I losing? Like I want to eliminate as much of that as I can. So that's why I always like to start here. But just to show you where I got in and how I'm managing it so far, my an original entry was over here on February 1st. Looks like we got our first comment in. Oh, Caleb. Welcome, Caleb. Yes, uh, one of our elite members from a while back graduated the program. Welcome, Caleb. And Alberto, bros, have you trimmed your position? Please explain how you've managed the position. Absolutely. We're getting to it. I'll explain that part in a moment. So, originally entered over here on February 1st, right? And you see that my stop was just below the 50. So let me take this stuff off. So I'm getting in here, right? Just had a resting order. I always like to use a stop limit order on my trades. That way it could I don't need to sit there and babysit the trade, babysit the market, just allow it to work. And I had my stop right below here, right below that 21-day exponential moving average. And the reason why is because if price breaks out, then it would need to fall through the 5, the 10, the 50-day moving average, and the 21 all the way just to get to break that level. So lots of things work in my favor. Always like to see that. That's something that I stress to our members all the time, as Caleb can testify to. Anyhow, so I'm in this trade, and on day one, and so here to answer Alberto's question from earlier, on day one, it hits my first scale out target, right? So I like to take a little bit off when price hits 1 times my risk, right? Just to give me a little psychological edge, not a whole lot. I took 10% off. But also on that day, and let me bring up the 30-minute because I also like to pay attention to what's happening on the 30-minute time frame as well, especially as a shorter term swing trader. I saw it tightening up over here, and with the market being as squirrely as it was then, it's improved a little bit now, about a week later. But then, still like kind of in no man's land. So I wanted to raise the stop on half the position, and I did. So I ended up getting stopped out of half the position up here. So that's about 1 R. So locking in about 1 times my risk, about 10, 11% on this entire trade so far. With that, that gives me a lot of flexibility, right? So we take off the annotations again for a moment, and then since I've locked in half of my profits already up here, right, at about a 11% gain or so, that means that no matter what happens at this point, like even if I left my stop down here, which I wouldn't recommend, but even if I did, then that means that the worst case scenario is that this is a break even trade. Right. So that gives me a lot of flexibility to give this thing some room to run. So what I did was I actually raised my stop on this day here to the low of day, right? Just below the low of day. My stop is at 51.29 right now. And so far, like I'm keeping my stop there. It's just below break even. And even though price has moved pretty significantly, right? Like each day, price fluctuates about 9%. I'm able to just sit here and watch and be okay with it because I've locked in a good chunk of my gains. I've raised my stop, so I'm already like this trade is a win no matter what happens at this point. And since the trade has just continued to move sideways and bide some time, well, what it does is it allows these other moving averages, right? So this thin gray one, that's a 5 EMA. That green one there, that's a 10 EMA, and this purple one, that's a 21-day exponential moving average. I really like the 21-day exponential moving average because it's uh, the one that the like intermediate term momentum trades tend to follow, right? So if it breaks below the 21 EMA, then I have no more interest in the trade, generally speaking. So great. The 21 EMA, throw the annotations on, is already above where my stop is. So I feel pretty safe in this trade at this moment in time. So I'm just going, my plan at this point is to continue to let it work. Actually, here are the notes that I shared with members. This is a spreadsheet, by the way, that I share with all of our members here, and I update it daily. So over here, like here's the latest trade management plan. I published this last night. So price tested the 10 EMA and the anchored VWAP. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that over here too. So yes, so price yesterday uh, dropped to the 10, bounced off of it, tested the anchored VWAP from the prior high way back here. Anchored VWAP is another great tool to use. Um, so it did that, rebounded off of it and closed near its high a day. On the weekly chart, price is in the middle of its range and momentum is building. Uh, the sideways action the last 6 days has helped bide time for the 21 EMA to rise above and is now above its backstop at 51.29. That's where I had my stops before. The relative strength line continues to outpace the price action. And for now, I'm continuing to hold. Yeah, so did all of that. Still looking great so far. That's a nice support day. Getting some more support right around that anchored VWAP level, right? That thick blue line right there. And over here on the weekly, it's looking pretty solid too, right? So I find it very helpful to keep all the timelines in perspective, right? Do a multi time frame analysis. And again, for the sake of everybody that's just joining now, first off, welcome. Secondly, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button, hit subscribe. That's helping out the channel a lot. But as far as these charts go, the always and this is 101 basic, right? And it's super helpful, and it actually took me a while to get into the habit of doing this, so I think that it's worth reiterating. When you're looking at any kind of chart, hit that reset button, right? So come over here. If you're on trading view, just right click, click reset. And then the next step is to click this button over here. So that way you're hiding all the annotations. The reason why is because it's going to help you remove some of the bias that you might otherwise have. You're not getting sucked into the chart or your prior thoughts immediately. And for me, I like to have monthly timeframes, weekly timeframes, daily timeframes, and the 30-minute timeframes all open. Well, what I'm kind of curious. Well, what timeframes are you guys trading? What kind of timeframes are you guys trading? Type into the chat. Let me know. Are you guys mostly swing traders? Are you day traders? Are you intermediate term? Are you a position trader? Type into the chat. Let me know what you guys are doing. And while you're doing that, let's move on to the focus list. Stocks that are actionable right now. So this is another list again that I share with members every single day. So at the end of each trading day, and this, by the way, this is a routine that I've run for years, more than a decade at this point. And it's what I did when I was trading part time, well, working full time job, worked in a hospital. I was a fund manager, not like a fund like trading stocks, but fun like managing research grants, philanthropy, that kind of stuff. It's a cool job at the time. Um, Helped me like with learning spreadsheets and stuff. I've taken some of that and applied that to my trading, like pivot tables and whatnot. But yeah, well, like the basic trading routines that I do now are not that far off from what I was doing part time, and it's just an efficient way to do it. So what I'll do at the end of each trading day is I'll run a series of scans, right? And I'm running these scans, and they're very specific, and they're showing me different things, right? So what stocks have the best relative strength, right? And that's just one screen. Or what stocks are rebounding off the 21-day exponential moving average? What stocks are closing near their high of day? What stocks have heavy volume on the day? What stocks have next to no volume on the day, right? So you can start to see like how things are consolidating in what way and what might be of interest to trade. That whole process probably takes me about, I'd say, in a kind of a so-so market like we are now, like 15-20 minutes, to when things are really ripping and there's a lot of stuff passing, then it could be about half an hour. But certainly what most people would be capable of doing, even if you do have a regular 9 to 5. Looks like there's another comment. Let's see. Caleb is mostly daily time frame guy. Cool, cool, cool. New water bottle, by the way. I got this over the holidays. This thing could apparently take a bullet. You could throw it off the the roof, but not sure if it'll survive a dishwasher. This thing. Anyway, just some advertising that they gave on this water bottle. So focus list. So all these stocks over here. Not sure if you could see it, but let me show it on the spreadsheet too. So there's several over here, and there's a few things that I like to do with each one, right? So listing them out in a spreadsheet, so that way you could grab them, copy and paste them into your own thing. That makes life really easy. But to list out the type of setup that I'm seeing, the stage, my overall gut feel on the trade, and having traded for so many years, each idea, like, well, the chart speaks to me, right? So if I come over here and I'm looking at PBT, some of the things, and this was one that I actually have an order in right now. Hasn't triggered yet, but let me walk you through the thought process. So with this idea, right? So I'm seeing this as a potential power play. What a power play is, it's similar to a high tight flag, but the time spent in the flag area is it doesn't need to be the full 5 weeks that O'Neill looks for. It could be a little bit less, 4, 3, 2 minimum. Anyhow, what I liked about this was the, of course, strong run up, right? About 100% in a handful of weeks here. And then it started to consolidate and tighten up. And you see, like, how it went from wide and loose to progressively tighter to progressively tighter. And you also see the volume dry up over here, right? Does everybody see that? Uh, that's what I really like to see, and the fact that this thing did not break out today makes me like it even more because, like, look how it's still trading in that tight little range over here, right? Let me zoom in a bit. So it's trading in that tight range, and if I put on my annotations, like, I'm planning to add to buy on a breakout above this, uh, exit on a drop below this level right over here, 1306, and it's being supported by the 10 EMA. It's being supported by the anchored VWAP the from the high over here, and it's looking great. Plus, it also has very strong relative strength. That's what this line over here. It's the relative strength versus the S&P 500, and what those green lines are. That's the trend of the relative strength line over the past 50 days and over the past. I have it set to, I believe, the past 7 days. Let me double check that. Right. Just come over here. Da-da-da-da-da. Yep, over the past 7. Actually tightened it up, that relative strength over the past 7 days, and here's the reason why too, like, some cool insights. So, not sure how many of you are familiar with Mark Minervini. If you guys aren't, definitely go follow this guy on Twitter. He's one of the best, great mentor, friend. He's actually, I'm trying to get him to come on the live stream. We're figuring it out. He's planning to go away for a couple of weeks, but we're trying to figure it out. Um, Anywho, a couple of weeks ago, he posted all the trades that he took last year when he won the U.S. Investing Championship, and was kind enough to give some of the dates for them. One of the things that I noticed was this relative strength point, where uh, many of the trades that he took, or almost all the ones that he took that he shared the, like, specifics on, had this part where the relative strength was starting to turn up over the past 7 days, right? So strong relative strength, but getting up and getting stronger. Um, yeah, well, what does upstart? That was funny. That I was in the same. Funny enough, Caleb, I was in the same trade at the same time, and I don't. I still don't know what the hell upstart does. Right? Like, so long as so here's what I need in a stock. What I need in a stock is that it passes my screens. I run fundamental screens. I run technical screens. It passes those. It passes other XYZ criteria, right? Like, Caleb knows, like, I have my own system that I call Eagle, that is loosely based off of Can Slim, but there's certain things that I tweaked for myself. Happy to go deeper into that if anybody wants to hear that. Just type into the chat. But well, where was I going with this? Yeah, well, as far as Upstart goes, like, that, so long as it passes the things that I'm looking for, I don't need to know a whole lot about the company. And you know what? Sometimes knowing too much, for me, tends to be a detriment because I tend to, or what can happen is if you fall in love with a company a little too much, like you start giving it a little too much leeway versus how you might trade something else, that can become a real problem. So I'd rather be in a position where I could treat all trades equally. So, uh, know thyself, I guess, is one of the points in that little rant. Anyway, back to PBT. So, here's a question from Julio. Julio says, "Hi, Mike. Can you explain how you use and interpret the ATR percentage indicator in your chart?" So this down here, if you're referring to this, this is not an ATR. This is a percent daily range. So all this is doing is telling me the percent daily range over the past 20 trading days. So each day, price has a range. So on as of today, the percent daily range is 7.22%. So it's telling me that over the past 20 days, that's how much the price range has been. The reason, and let me share, I'll share this too. The reason why I like knowing the percent daily range is because number one, if this thing breaks out, let's say that this breaks out from down here and it goes. So it's starting from the bottom of the range, right? And as of right now, I have about a 6.5% stop. So it could break out and be within its normal percent daily range. But since the stop is relatively tight, it also gives me awareness that if it does break out the next day, it could fall, test its 21-day exponential moving average, and still be within its normal percent daily range. Uh, that's one way to think of it. If it's up here, right? Like let's say the price reverses, it closes at the high, and then it breaks out tomorrow. Then that's something that tells me that if this thing does move just its percent daily range, that it would be able to trigger my first scale out because, as I mentioned earlier, not sure if you were here for that part of it, but I like to take a bit off at one times my risk, right? Not a whole lot, just like maybe about 10%. But I like taking that bit off, and this would tell me that it's reasonable to expect that that could happen on day one. So, um, not really using that. So that's what this indicator is down here. Let me know if that answers the question, Julio. All right. So, PBT is on the radar. CWK was also, it was high on the radar. Like I had it. So so when I'm doing this kind of work, right? Like I don't know if you guys could see this if it's clear on your end. Like it says A level trades like number 5. Like I might change this around and say that this is a gut level feel of a 5. And part of the reason that uh, oh, good. I'm glad that it answered the question, Julio. Perfect. Yeah, just everybody, everybody. As you have questions, keep on typing them into the chat. And yeah, well, again, here's a little banner thing. I'm learning how to do more stuff with the live streams and in uh whatchamacall in StreamYard. Actually, here's a cool thing that I found in StreamYard. Check this out. How cool is this? Just playing around, having some fun coins. Anyway, yeah. So back to what we have going on over here. So uh, what I really liked about this trade idea was that it tightened up right around the 50-day moving average, right? So it went from being wide and loose to really tightening up over here. The moving averages, if I could maybe expand this a bit, you see over here how the moving averages start to curve up and start to widen a bit. That's another sign that this is starting to take off, starting to gain a little bit of momentum over here. I ended up not taking this trade because, well, let's did I put it through the gauntlet? No. Um, yeah, anything like it needed to stay at a 5 for me to put it at run it through the gauntlet. Yeah, this should actually be down here. Uh, the reason why I thought that, you know what, this is actually not quite a 5, more of a 4. Uh, like just the way that it like the relative strength was close to highs. It's outpacing a little bit. It's I think it has more to do with uh, the weekly volume over here. Like it's good, but it's not great. So price came in, and over here, this is a supportive week, and then it rebounds, and then it's coming out over here. It's the price action is constructive, but it doesn't quite have the volume signature, if that makes sense. So while this trade so far is working, it's not what I would consider a gimme, right? Well, when I saw Bros, right? To go back to Bros, Bros had everything going for it. It actually, well, it had everything as far as the chart goes going for it. Like, even coming out of here, right, like, it had the heavier volume, more volume to the upside, like, it things that show that it has oomph, like, that's what I want, in a trade, and CWK did not quite have that. Here's one that I'm looking at for tomorrow, potentially. EGY. This is another potential power play, like, look at this volume over here, as it's running up, and then around this zone in here, it's tightening up. Volume is tapering off a bit. Relative strength is high. A lot to like about this idea. Also, it has the volume over here on the weekly time frame as well. So one I'll be investigating more so later this evening. Let's see what else. Yeah, EMPH high on was high on the list. It gapped up this morning. And it here's why I liked EMPH so much. Same kind of volume signature that we were talking about with Bros, right? Like so it bottoms and then on this day right here, right? So very specific. Like I like to get into the weeds of the price and volume. If you haven't noticed that already, but it could be so telling. And this is why really like mastering just a small handful of things is so much better than trying to go super wide and just hunting for like different ideas or systems or anything like that, like specialize. And that's how something like this becomes like, oh, like this is starting to bottom over here, then it of course it's going to consolidate it a little bit. It has a lot of overhead supply, and then it's consolidating. Volume is relatively low, but then you have a slight uptick in volume over here, and then some follow through as price starts to break back above those other moving averages. Then it consolidates right at the 21. And if you notice, each of the up days too, closing near the high of the range, it's a sign of demand. And that, yeah, yesterday, well, would have been a perfect day to try to get in on this. Like if you're going to trade ahead of earnings, my preferred method is to use calls on here too, right? So here's a great alert, perfect timing, right? Live trading, ETC, right? So Ethereum Classic. Let's go take a look at Ethereum Classic, right? We're talking about stocks, but just to show you that the same kind of stuff applies to crypto. This just popped out of this zone right over here, right? So it's climbing right above. getting some volume on that upswing. So over here, then let's say we take that entry, and I'm strongly considering that. Um, a stop could be placed right below the 50, like right over here in that ballpark. And if we're looking for a target, say we're looking for a target of about 50, right? Like somewhere in here, somewhere around the the 200-day moving average, that sets up for a nice swing. I don't think that it just marches straight higher, but let's say that it does, right? Because it of the cryptocurrencies, Ethereum Classic at this point in time has the most momentum, in my opinion. Um, Having broken above the 50 and gaining more volume over here, just breaking above this level of uh, yeah, I'd say short term resistance. And what else? Yeah, and plus it has the 50 backing it up. All positive things. Looks like we have another question come in. Charles wants to take a look at PKG. We could take a look at PKG. PKG. All right. Let's hide any prior annotations. Zoom out. Reset all the charts. And let's go. All right. So, with this idea, right? Like I'm not, I don't have MarketSmith opened, so I don't know the fundamentals of this idea. Uh, but let's just say that it passes, right? And we'll just uh, take a look at it from a technical perspective. So first things first, what kind of a pattern are we seeing here? I always like to see some kind of a pattern forming on the weekly time frame, and then I'll dive into the daily and the 30-minute to fine tune my entries and my stops. But if there's no pattern really that's in my playbook on the weekly time frame, generally speaking, I'll take a pass. Um, This the like, it's kind of a border yeah, I wouldn't call this much of a pattern here because you have a series of higher highs, and I believe did it? No, so this is a series of higher highs, and then this week is an outside reversal week so far, meaning that both the high and the low are outside the range of the prior week. So a ton of lingo, but basically, it means that this isn't a true pattern, not one that I would trade anyway, but it does. Uh, Last week and the week before, it did pop out over here, and it did tighten up, and it looks like there's more volume coming in. So from that perspective, it looks pretty darn compelling. Um, if I were to have taken a spot, getting in really yesterday or today with the tight stop right below over here, about 3.5%, and your PDR, your percent daily range, is about 2.5%. So yeah, I'd expect it to be able to hit that within a couple of days. And if it doesn't hit that in a couple of days, then we have some decisions to make. Do we want to scratch the trade? Do we want to raise our stop to break even? What do we want to do? But it seems like, so far anyway, that it does have some decent momentum. Um, and this relative strength line, yeah, if price continues to move, it should get going as well. Generally, I like the relative strength to also be outperforming when I'm going to take an entry. So that would knock this idea off a little bit, but it's not something that in and of itself would uh, toss an idea for me. Let's take a look at some of the stocks that are in the neighborhood, at least from yesterday. So these are ideas that are getting close to setting up, but aren't quite there yet. Like this one here, OVV. Yeah, OVV. Yeah, you know me. Anyway, so what I liked about this was that it has these almost felt like it consolidated over here, then it consolidated over here, and it's almost like it's forming a an ascending base. Not quite what I would consider an ascending base, but it has the essence of it there. Either way, like it is tightening up from this section to this section to potentially this section over here, and it could be ready as early as uh, tomorrow, right? Like decent reversal off the 21. Like that would be like a very low way to cheat to get in, right? Like cheating being that you're getting in early versus getting in up here. So that would be about if you got in on a break above today's high, for example, you would be giving yourself about a 4.5% stop with the 21 EMA right there. Not bad. I always prefer uh, to not jump the gun, meaning like I wouldn't get in today. I would prefer to get in tomorrow, so that way it would has the opportunity to confirm a breakout versus like getting in here and then tomorrow. Who the heck knows what's going to happen? So this is one on the radar. Here's another one on the radar, getting tightening up a bit. We'll see what happens over here. Maybe, maybe not. And then Victoria's Secret. Yeah, the Victoria's Secret I could probably take off this list. It broke out on uh February 7th. Well, what was that? That was Tuesday. Yeah, and so that was forgot to change the banner. That was the in the neighborhood list stocks that may be actionable. So all that stuff said, let me know what other questions you guys have. Any questions about any of the ideas that we went over? If you have ideas that you would like me to take a look at, type all that into the chat. If you have other questions in general, other trading questions, type those into the chat as well. We're already about 7 minutes over, but I'm happy to stick around for a few minutes and answer some additional questions if you guys have them. And of course, I was told that I don't do this part enough. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching it over here on YouTube, if you're watching it over on ShareVision, make sure that you like and subscribe. Or if you're on Facebook too, let me know where you guys are, where you guys are at. And yeah, if you have any other questions, go ahead and type them into the chat now. Yeah, you know what always happens? What inevitably happens is I'll start running uh, the my end of live stream spiel, right? Like saying like, "Oh, thank you so much for blah blah blah," and then I'll see two or three questions come in, and then it's just like, "Oh, all right, let's run it back." But anyhow, let's see. Any other questions? Doesn't look like it. Okay, so we'll see if you guys throw a last minute question in for me. Throw me that curveball. But while we're closing up shop, but anyway, want to say thank you all so much for coming. I appreciate it. And tomorrow we will be doing stock market analysis. Right, so going through the where the market has been for the week. The type of condition that it's in, all the types of stuff that I generally reserve and do daily inside the elite program. I want to give you guys a little bit of a taste so that way if you want to take it and run with it, you can. If you want to have more and join us inside the elite program, you have a better sense of what it is that you're going to get. Until then, I'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Much love. Peace out, everybody. Hey, thanks so much for sticking around to the end. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button down below and become a part of the Marrow Wealth community. And make sure that you check out some of the other videos on the channel. They're exactly what you need to see. And leave a comment down below. I read all of them. Leave a comment.